All right, so this clip is titled "Have You Ever Been Mobbed?" and mobbed is in quotes.
Oh,
Y'all
boy.
ready?
Let's go.
Brother.
Mobbed. Interesting.
Have you guys ever been mobbed at work? Mobbing at work is a form of workplace bullying that involves a group of people targeting an individual for humiliation, degradation, and isolation. This can lead to health problems and job loss. So the very, very scary thing about mobbing is we're not talking about one toxic boss or one toxic person in leadership, which is already really hard to deal with because most of the time you cannot hold those people accountable. If you go to HR, it generally turns out bad for you and they target you and drive you out. However, if there's a group of people, and I generally see this with women, this does not mean that it does not happen with men in the workplace, but I get a lot of stories about groups of women targeting one female employee and absolutely making their life miserable, scary miserable, and driving them out, like to the point of quitting, but having like a chronic health issue because of it as well. The problem is when you already have the worst time in the world getting one person held accountable, imagine having several. And imagine having several of them be in a higher up role where they have power and authority and lawyers and all of these things to absolutely refute whatever you're saying, to make you look bad. It's bad enough when you have one, but when you have several, it can be someone's absolute undoing.
Okay.
All right, so what's up? Have you ever experienced it, seen it?
Well, let the lady go
Personally,
first.
no.
Never
I've
heard of any
been-
stories where that happened or nothing like that?
No, I haven't actually. This is my first time hearing about it. I've never been in a workplace environment where I have experienced that or seen it done to someone else, but it makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of the stories that my mom tells me about at work, you know, having a female principal and working with so many other female teachers at the type of school that she's at. She did kind of, you know, deal with that, and people left because they, you know, felt away and stuff like that. So I can definitely see it as something that's possible.
Yes, for sure. What about you, Reg?
I haven't experienced it personally. I think the closest I've had dealings with are more so seeing it from a third party, and I've had people attempt to play with me like that, but things like that don't really go well for others.
I've worked with him and seen something. Oh my goodness.
People attempt,
Yeah.
like, because I think for us, like, when I hear the term mobbed, after she described it, I was like, okay, so that's people clicking up. Like,
That's
that whole,
some
the
mean-
click,
some mean
Yeah.
girls-
the click
that mean girl
mentality.
shit that they be on.
And I can see that being easier with people who are, if you're somebody who's very, what would be the words for it? If you're somebody who is not really verbal. So somebody who is more like introverted, somebody who doesn't really stand for themselves a lot or whatever, and things of that nature, it's kind of easier to run over those people and to play those types of games. Especially, it turns into high school. It's like, okay, this is that one person that for whatever reason, it could just be them being different, or let's say they're somebody who might not be the most socially apt person.
Let's go pick on them.
They pick on them, and it becomes a thing. I've seen that happen with a lot of women. A lot of women.
Yeah, that's why I reference Mean Girls, because that's like women stuff. I don't see groups of men doing that to a man.
Now, I will
At
say
least-
this. Sheem and I worked in an environment where there were men that did attempt to do that to me,
That
but
was funny.
it didn't go the way that
Oh,
they would
'cause
like it to go.
They was mad because Reggie was smarter than them and better than them at the. He was like the best at the position, and they kept trying to break bro, like to humble him. But he would. His G check was one of the craziest G checks I ever seen, because it was in a work meeting, bro. It was in a work meeting. Reggie just told dude. He looked at dude, and I forgot what dude even said, but he was trying to poke his chest out at Reggie a little bit for whatever reason, and Reggie was like, "Hey, we not a part of X, Y, Z in the parking lot," and the room shifted. He's like, "Hey, just so you," he said it so calm too. He's like, "Just so you know, we're not a part of the company in the parking lot."
Yeah, he'll say it calm and with a big ass smile on his face.
And dude gave him the look like he wanted to say something back, but he looked like it's gonna go down if I say something back. So he just took the high road, and it was just that silence.
Get that smile right there.
And that
Put his hand on your shoulder.
That was one of the best laughs. That was one of the best laughs I had in my life.
I already know how that happened.
Oh, the shoulder story. The shoulder. Yes.
So there's a lot of, when I see stuff like that, or when people attempt stuff like that on me, it don't work, because I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna nip it in the bud. And also, I think that I'm lucky enough to be somebody who, I have a certain amount of, charisma in the way that I speak to people or whatever. You trying to push the narrative of he's like this, he's like that, is not going to work, because contact is going to break that. When the person has contact with me, they're like, hey, he was funny, he was cool, he was this, he was that. It's going to break whatever little campaign that you just tried to shift or whatever. But what sucks is I've witnessed people who...
Oh my God.
What happened?
I just went back there, yo. That was so funny and crazy, bro, because it was in a meeting, bro. That's the part y'all not understanding. This was a work meeting. To the 9-to-5ers that tap in with us, y'all know them work meetings is supposed to be a serious thing unless it's a fun thing. And it was actually a fun, serious environment, but the whole energy room just shifted. Oh, man.
He pushed me to my limit. And I was just like, all right, bro, let me just remind this nigga that we are at work. But this job don't protect you in real life.
That was great.
The times where I see it actually work were where I would see a lot of women. What they'll do is, especially if a woman is a certain level of attractive, or she gains a certain level of attention, they'll like block her. They'll freeze her out. Especially if, let's say, a woman has a group of friends,
or they'll paint narratives where
they'll paint narratives.
They'll say every dude that she speaks to, she's trying to fuck.
Yeah,
they'll put stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
And dudes do that too. There's a thing where there are times where men try to do that. I think that's the most common is when it comes to love interests. Like if there's already a group there, and let's say that group either A, generally has a crush on a guy, or B, let's say they just like, there's one person who's seen as the attractive person at work, or the attractive person in that section. Everybody's vying for that person's affection, or even if it's just a few of them. If someone new comes in and it seems like that person's attention goes in that direction, there's drama left and right. And that, to me, that's when I've seen it. I've seen women get called all types of things outside their name, get painted to be like some sort of, she's fast, she's this, she's that, just because she looks good, or just because she carries herself a certain way. I've seen it where even a woman who isn't, let's say, the most stereotypically pretty, or she doesn't have the most, as far as beauty standards go, she's not a 10 or a 9 or whatever. She's just somebody who carries herself really well. If men enjoy her presence too much, there's a level of animosity that comes in, where even if it's not like a sexual thing, or even if it's not a looks thing, let's say men just like her.
Remember that white girl we worked with?
That's who I'm describing it. I literally saw this girl. She is the most plain Jane person on the planet, but she was just a sweetheart. She was a super sweetheart.
She had a beautiful personality, though. You could tell.
Very soft spoken. Like she reminded me of there was this older lady who called her Anne of Green Gables. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that show, but like the old 1950s, 60s TV shows where it's like she wore heels every day. She wore the very like professional dresses. She looked very I Love Lucy-esque, the way she did her hair and stuff like that. She was like the old school woman of back in the day. But because of that, she was very, hello guys, I'm this and that and da 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 da. And when I tell you, that pissed them off to the 9. Because dudes that, it didn't matter what guy it was, every man around, she didn't have to ask for help. Guys were getting up and just doing things for her. Sure. Yeah. She didn't have to, she didn't spend time with anybody. She minded her business. She came, clocked in, and left. But anytime anything with her was involved, people were volunteering left and right to assist her and this and that, because she was just such a docile character. But her being that way riled up all the women. And they were all, it was like,
I used to hate on Shorty for no reason, bro.
And it really, it's the weirdest thing, because if you removed her from the room, everybody was chill. But the moment you added her, it was just like this.
You could see the hair,
animosity,
the hair standing up on the female dog's back, where they just
yeah, like they wanted smoke just for her existing.
So that's the closest example. I guess I haven't never been mobbed on, but I've definitely seen where like I've had an experience with my job, one at the airport where they were trying to conspire to fire me because I don't know. I guess the manager, we had a new manager situation, and the manager didn't like me, so I found out through the grapevine because of the chick I was tapped in with that they were trying to find any type of reason to fire me. Like as far as like what I got fired for was technically minor. Let's just say I made one mistake that I've never made throughout my whole tenure of.
But instead of it being a write-up.
Yeah, instead of it being a write-up, they got rid of me. Like, they suspended me right away and everything like that, and then just got me fired. And mind you, I was always on time for this job, and I worked at multiple stores at that airport or whatever. I was one of their most dependable people. But the new management lady didn't like that. Like, I guess the attention I would get, because I would kind of have the stores. I worked at the electronic stores and stuff, so I had the stores kind of lit. I had a certain type of energy that was bringing in and out of the stores. She wasn't feeling that. She felt like she needed to try to break me down and whatnot. And one day through a birdie, I found out, oh, no, they was just waiting for a mistake for you to happen, and that's why I ended up getting fired. That's probably the closest thing to that, but I don't know if that's mobbed.
You know what? I worked at a Cold Stone Creamery. And there was a lady who was the owner, and then there were two female managers. And I'll never forget, this lady owner was rude to me even in the interview. But I was in such a position where I needed the money, where I couldn't turn it down. But even during the interview, right, I showed up, you know, I'm dressed up, and I'm answering my questions. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. She has the two other people in the interview, but she's the main speaker. She's in the middle. And when they were asking me certain questions, when I would give my answers, sometimes the girls would giggle to each other and talk, or they'll make their little comments or whatever. And the lady at the end was like, all right, so you know what? I'm just going to be real with you. I mean, I'll get you, you know, you answer the questions and I'll get you the job or whatever, because we're looking for somebody and it's last minute.
Job or whatever is crazy.
She literally was talking to me with that type of attitude. She was like, you know, I'll hire you or whatever, because we need somebody, and it seems like you're ready right now.
Or whatever.
Bills.
I know you needed that job now.
Bills, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
She flat out was like, but I got my eye on you, because I don't need no Casanova head ass nigga coming in here trying to talk to the women that work here and deal with the women and this and that and da 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 da. And mind you, this lady's in her like 50s and I'm like 20 or 19 or something like that. Like, I'm young as hell. The ladies, the two other managers that were there were like, they're like grad students. They were like 26, 27. And clearly the way that I could tell by, you know, the batting of the eyelashes, they were looking at me a certain way or whatever. You know, they were making little comments, and I guess she was irritated by it, and she was like, I don't like hiring, I don't like hiring your type, because I already know it's gonna come with drama. And I'm like, excuse me?
Oh, that's wolf pussy energy.
What?
Yeah, that old
wolf pussy.
Old dried up desert. That's that dried up desert bitch that she feels away because the younger women are feeling a certain way around me. It's now I'm the problem. Me just sitting here answering questions, minding my business. I'm the problem because
he was coming in there with all that foolishness.
That's the crazy part. It's like
she was hot.
She was addressing it. I'm like, yo, those are your two managers. They're supposed to be staying professional. It's an interview. I'm answering interview questions professionally, but because your managers are ogling me, which is actually sexual harassment, it's my fault.
Yeah, Edna wasn't rocking with you. I feel like the lady name was Edna. she gives me Edna.
But she ended up, I only held that job for maybe 3-4 months. She ended up firing me very quickly, and she fired me because there was a guy that came through the line, and she swore up and down that I knew him, and that I was trying to, like, she said she caught me trying to give him a discount. Never met the guy before in my life. We were laughing because I recognized his shirt, and I was like, oh, because it was a shirt for a gym that I used to be at. I was like, oh, you go to that gym now? And I was asking him if he know my homeboy, who's, you know, regular question.
Right.
Oh, do you know such and such? He was like, yeah, I work out with him. I was like, where? He's like, wait, are you Reggie from such and such? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, your old workout partner is my new workout partner. Oh, yeah. So we chopping it up, this and that. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, this and that. What's your order? I get his order. Everything's cool. I was like, yo, there's cameras. You can see what I did. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, well, she was like, I'm not gonna go through all that, just pack your stuff.
That's crazy. I would have left with mad ice cream too.
You would have took the whole thing out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, just nasty behavior where I feel like overall it stems from jealousy, it stems from just immature behavior. And I think the most important thing that she talked about was it's already hard enough if you've ever been in a job and you're dealing with like workplace harassment or certain types of things. Dealing with HR is already difficult when you're dealing with one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Dealing with it when it's like 6 people doing something to you. First of all, people are automatically going to assume that the 6 people are in the right. Mm-hmm. Because it just looks crazy.
It's true.
Because they're going to be like, okay, how did you rub 6 people the wrong way?
How do you got 6 to 8 people upset with you and mad at you? Like,
are you claiming you didn't do nothing? Mm-hmm. But in reality, it is very possible. You know how people like saying that statement of everybody can't be wrong? It's actually very possible when you think about group mentality for a whole group of people to be dead ass wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the group mentality, that's a fact. Standing behind stuff and you don't have the facts.
Yeah, or even if, like, let's say there are no facts, standing behind just the idea of, yeah, I don't like that the person that I likes you. I don't like that you speak in a way.
That's that girl shit. But men do it, but that's that girl shit.
I don't like the fact that you speak in a way where I feel like you think you're better than me. Because you speak in a certain way, or because you carry yourself in a certain way, because you dress in a certain way.
I have to deal with that so much. I feel like you think you're
better than me.
Yeah.
I have to deal with that all the time, bro. Like, because I've always talked like this. I've always been, like, fairly soft-spoken and stuff like that. And it's, oh, Leah thinks she's better.
She's smarter
or
than
Leah,
everybody.
she talks like this, and I got to talk like Leah to get blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. Like, be yourself.
I'm
like,
just articulate
it's just me, you know? It's so annoying. Stop that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with dudes, it's a thing of, like, they'll look at you and they'll be like, because you're a certain height or a certain build, it's a problem. With women, it's a femininity thing. Because you're so soft-spoken, because you carry yourself a certain way, dress a certain way, they're going to be like, oh, she thinks she's da-da-da-da.
Or if you don't fool with nobody, they'll think you all that. Like, me and Reggie would go through that a lot, and it's crazy how we end up homies, though. Like, outside of our people and people knowing us, we ain't rocking, we ain't doing the high kikiing and all that, and that'll misguide people in their mind and have them thinking that you stuck up or whatever,
or you're hateful,
or you think you all that or whatnot, and it's just messed up that a person could just march to the beat of their own drum and offend people. But
we were around each other for months before we had a conversation.
It's crazy that we were more alike than we thought, because we just didn't speak. It wasn't nothing. It was just, I was new to the job, and I am the one that's reserved to myself more than even Reggie and whatnot. But when we got to talking, it was like second nature and whatnot. Found out we was hip hop heads and just had a lot of similar interests and all that, and being cool. But either way, with me not knowing Reggie, I was never hating on him. I seen,
and vice versa. We were cool. We were cool, like, even from a distance.
Yeah, that's a fact. People was rocking with him. People rock with me, but we just stayed in our own respective spaces and collab just fine. But that be the people that be just insecure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's something that I've learned.
Motherfucker.
Bro, it's a thing that, and what's crazy, because we like to think sometimes some wisdom comes with age or whatever. Man, even my own mother dealt with it, and it's something where people.
Your mom is one of the sweetest people I've ever met, bro.
Bro, like, I'm talking about. I met a lady, right?
Like,
this was 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I traveled to Boston. I was meeting up with, like, my distant relatives, some of my cousins, and some of the, like, just kind of making everybody's acquaintance. And I'm out there with Dave. All of them know Dave already, but no one knows me. Now, when people figure out, they're like, oh, who's your dad? And then, so when they find out who my dad is, they're like, wait, if you're 30, you're over 30, and that's your dad, that would make your mom. And then they did the math, and they were like, oh, yo, this one lady was like, oh, your mom, she was always so beautiful. She would carry herself this and that, da, da, da. She was like, I hated your mom.
She kept it gutted.
She said that to my face.
Man, she kept it gutted with you.
Cause people are drinking, everybody's having a good time. That lady was toasty. She was toasty. I'm talking about swirling her drink in her hand. She told her homegirl, she was like, "That's such and such's son." And then they were like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she was, "Oh, your mother was so beautiful. She was so great. She was always so graceful, and she carried herself this way, and she was so smart." And da da da. They were all talking her up, and then she ended it. She was like, "I hated her." And then all the other women, yep, da da da. And I'm watching them agree to this like this is normal behavior.
And I know Reggie was probably in his mind like, these bitches got one more syllable to tell me that they didn't like my mom before I start frying their ass up.
Dog, I felt the way. I was like, yo, what is this? And why are you so comfortable
saying this to my face? Like, they thought you was pussy.
What about me makes you think that this is okay to just tell me this right now?
People just be hating for real.
That is, but
that's like pure just hate.
That's nothing else.
How do you not? Hate. But I think I reflect so much that it bothers me when people say something so outwardly stupid and it doesn't have like that boomerang effect. Like I'm like, you didn't hear what you just. That sound regular to you?
Mm-hmm. Do you hear yourself?
Dog. Nah. But yeah, that prayers to anybody who's out there dealing with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I wish this would be the time where I wish there was like some sort of information we could give out or this and that. But what's really fucked up is I think this is one of those topics that there is no real solution.
No.
Because even if you go to HR or even if you go to whatever, or even if the fucked up thing is HR, they're people too. Yeah. HR is made out of people, meaning that I've worked at multiple jobs where the HR people were part of the bullshit.
Yeah.
They were sleeping with people that were part of the bullshit. They were best friends with people, cousins with people, been at the job long enough where usually, and I'm going to say this, usually the people that are doing all the mobbing and the hating and everything, they've been at the job for a minute. Yeah. There's usually a level of, that's never the new niggas. It's never somebody who just came in that's doing that. It's usually somebody who is, their job is secure. They've been here for a minute. They got a certain level of pull. They got a certain level of knowledge or whatever. And they be clicked up amongst each other and making other people go through hell. And what makes that difficult is, let's say you do the proper thing and you try to go to HR, you try to go to whatever. Man, they say that they protect you from retaliation, but we know that ain't true. Right, they say that they protect you from, or they keep things anonymous. We know. You and I have seen that at multiple workplaces. That shit is not real,
That
dog.
shit come across their desk and they bypass that shit.
Yeah.
Not all HRs, but there's a lot.
Too many. There's too many that do it.
That just... It's nothing, and it's water under the bridge for them because they don't give a damn. But you the one that's suffering. So the people that are suffering, men, women, whoever, like dealing with that mob mentality, you know what I'm saying? Prayers to your mental health.
Do the best that you can.
If you can find a better job, because it's hard to say because I just know the economy we live in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you're 9 to 5, it might be not that easy to just get something else. But if you can find better, get better because you shouldn't be subject to that behavior.
Yeah, and if you're stuck there, prayers go out to you.
Work on your mental health.
Work on your mental health.
And stay prayed up.
Find a nice little group of people that you can trust and insulate yourself. Mm-hmm. Do what you can to protect yourself or to at least try to counteract the negative experiences with positive ones. Sometimes you can be the most hated, but cultivate still positive memories and positive situations by finding your own like-minded group of people there or doing whatever it is to kind of offset that energy. But
don't let them dim your shine. You continue to shine. Don't let them bring them down with that bum ass energy. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, most definitely.